Alright, I think this is Dakota's fourth riding session with the Western saddle. So I'm just going to line her up to the block here. I'm still using that cone to help her out a little bit. I could probably start fading that pretty soon too. Get my mounting block situated and check my girth and get my rein set up. I'm just going to tighten up my girth a little bit here. I'm still trying to break that latigo in. It's some pretty stiff leather, but I'm just going to click her while I'm tightening it up and then reinforce her for staying still. I'm using my hand target here. See, she is still kind of stuck on the cone there. And then she wants to move sideways. See, it's the same target is still really confusing for her because I explained it before, like where I thought I would needed like a start button for her to touch my hand to get on, but it's proven much more difficult than anything because she's still standing there touching the other cone. So and that's very similar to like come over there, like for her to move. So that's why you saw her step away a little bit. So since this time, I've gotten rid of that because I thought it was too confusing versus like beneficial. So I just got rid of that. But I wanted to explain that a little bit. Hop on her. That looks great. And click her while I get on, and I'll go ahead and reinforce her here. So I love how relaxed she is while I get on. And then I'm just going to reinforce her again. So again, lots of reinforcement for staying still when I first get on here and not giving her really time to think about wandering off or going anywhere. So again, reinforce her for staying still. And I like that her neck's nice and slow. She seems pretty connected, so this is definitely a huge improvement for her. Asking her to touch the handheld target there. That looks great. I'm giving her something to do other than, okay, we'll stand still and wait for me, you know. So I'm going to have her touch the target on the other side there. But I want her to touch the target. I want her to back up. I want her to just stand and wait for me. So she's got multiple different things that she can do at this time. And I can just hang out and pet on her a little bit. And then I do want to start adding a cue to the standing behavior, which I'll see later on too. I'm just going to pet on her a little bit. The Timothy pellets kind of make a big mess. I'm trying to build up the duration that she's staying still as well. So there I clicked again after a few seconds of her staying still on her own. I'll ask for the backup. She gets confused because she just flexed. So she has a problem with that, like cue discrimination there. So I do need to work on that. So like same thing here. She thinks, oh, it's on this side. No, my hand was over here the whole time because I believe my handheld target is on that right side, and that's why she got confused. But that first response she gave me when I asked her to back up, she flexed instead. So this time she got it. Like, we're not always going to do that one thing, and that's the thing that I got to work on with her is we do this thing and this thing and this thing. It's not always this thing. So I think I should probably be changing things, maybe, so she's not so stuck on one behavior. But the backup looks nice. We're going a little bit further this time. There, I asked her to back up again. She went to touch the cone on her own there, so I probably have to be careful with that as well because I don't want to end up chaining that. I don't want her to walk off and touch the cone and I ask her to back up and she gets rewarded. So that's another thing I have to be careful with. So here I reinforced while she was staying still instead. So I did recognize that and asked her to back up. Very good. So this looks nice. Kind of moving a little bit further away from that cone and not relying on that target quite as much. So I'm reinforcing her for staying still again. She's just getting lots of reinforcement for just me riding her, like doing a couple different cues and just standing still mostly is what I'm looking for right now.
Awesome job, girly. You walk on? Touch. You walk on?
So I'm asking with the target to turn left or to turn right here. So she's a little confused. She thought maybe go to the stationary target, and I just showed her my handheld target. She took a couple steps over to it, and then I'm gonna click and feed. So again, probably need to get rid of that stationary target. She was a little too stuck on it, and that's why I ended up having that stationary or that handheld target to begin with, is adding it in because she would either be too stuck on that one cone or not stuck enough and kind of wander off. So I wanted something I could hold and help her out here. So here you can see me holding that target out for her to kind of follow, and she's just kind of arcing in a little circle too. So that kind of helps, get that first movement too. Because obviously I've ridden her, but not a lot with just positive reinforcement. So that arc helps as well. So she's not just going straight off. Um, I can bend her if I need to, kind of a thing. But I'm just reinforcing her here for staying still. And I'll ask her to go off to the left here in a second. So again, reinforce for staying still. Because I asked her to take a couple steps, then I'm clicking for staying still. Because I don't want the reinforcement for going forward to be a lot more than staying still, because she's just going to be naturally reinforced just on its own. Just going forward is reinforcing. So gotta continually reinforce that staying still at this point in time. So I'm going to show her that target. You can kind of see there off to her left. She takes a couple steps. I'm going to click
Very nice
and I'm going to
job.
give her her reinforcement. And there you can see like she's kind of busy, like she's kind of got her mouth full already. But that's what I want at this point. I want to be building really positive associations, and then over time I can feed less and less. But I want this to be super positive. I want her to stay connected. I want her thinking about what she can do
Awesome
next to
job.
earn something. So that's my goal at this point. So I'm just going to ask for a couple more steps off to the left. She goes a little confused. I'm going to say, nope, I'd like you to come this way. So I should represent the target. She goes off that way and I'll reinforce. So she kind of like went off to the right instead.
A little bit more.
Got a little confused, but I
Good
represented the target and
girl.
she figured it out.
We're in the sun now.
And I'm going to click here for just standing still. So each time we're going a little bit further and a little bit further until we're just, riding around like normal. But at this point, it's going to be just a couple of steps. Again, reinforcing for staying still. And I need to be starting to put a cue on that, because I don't I don't want her to just go off whenever she wants, and I want it to be very specific too. I don't want her to just leave whenever, but I don't want her to be confused on when she can and cannot leave. So that's the other thing. I want to start adding in that whoa cue so that she knows she's supposed to stop. So she's not
Stop a
confused
little bit.
and is like, oh, well, I can only stop when I'm in front of a cone. So that's something I need to start adding with her. But that was a really great session. I'm just going to build up on it next time, and we'll take like 3 steps and work a lot on that staying still and the backing up and the flexing still. But she's looking really good.